For those of you that are new to this conversation, this is the K1 Network, which is basically the three Keller Williams offices that all kind of operate in Jose's world, where we get together once every couple of weeks and share ideas. We learn together, we grow together, talk about a topic that will help us all to be better. If we haven't met, I'm Mark Sandig. I'm the team leader at Keller Williams Legacy Group, currently out of North Canton, but we have offices in a variety of different places, including Ashland County, which we'll be diving into a little bit today. And I wanted to talk, I think the topic, the title for today is Bucking the Trend. There are many people that you meet, you go to a networking event, you go to a board event, and you ask someone how business is going. And the response is, well, the market's down, so my business is down. It's kind of a foregone conclusion that, yeah, what do you expect? The market's down, whatever it is, 20%, 25%, depending on whether you're measuring units and volume, depending on what county you're operating in. And I wanted to have this conversation because I think that mentality sucks. It's fine to be average. And in one sense, you could say, well, my business is down 25% and the market's down 25%, so I shouldn't beat myself up, which is that's not an unreasonable response. But the truth is that there are those who are growing in this market, or are those who are holding the line in this market. There are those who are choosing to think differently about their businesses, and whether it's trying something new or whether it's getting back to the basics in order to take market share. For those of you who are not familiar with this book, the book Shift talks about how in a downshifting market, which there's no question that's what we're in right now, those who hold the line, which isn't exciting. Normally, when we set goals, we want to set goals that are related to growth, that are related to 10xing our business and all kinds of exciting things. But if you hold the line, you actually grow. Now, you've actually taken market share, and then as the market rebounds, you're then in a position to not give that back and to have a bigger percentage of the market. Here in Stark County, where the mass of our agents operate, we're taking 1 in every 5 deals right now, and that number is actually trickling up, which is exciting. And so part of our conversation today is around how do we think differently, behave differently, behave better as it relates to our business. Before we dive in, and I'm going to kick it off with Scott in a minute, but before we dive in, I would love to hear from at least a couple of you. What mentality or what mindset are you most battling as it relates to the market that we're in right now? What's the kind of a stinking thinking, the stuff that you wake up with that you need to kind of rid yourself of as it relates to mentality or mindset in this market? I'd love to hear 2 or 3 of you share.
I can go ahead. I don't mind, Mark. I think being, I think seeing numbers that say that one's average, or being, this is the average mentality, or this is the average, way of doing things, I think is something that I'm always constantly trying to get over. And, average doesn't mean good. Sometimes average, can just mean, below average. Like in my mind, I always want to be better than average. So I don't want to just stick to, well, the average is this. So then if you hit those numbers, you're average, you're good. So for me, it's just constantly trying to exceed what my mentality in terms of average is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You don't want to just settle for good enough. Who else?
Yeah.
Who else?
I think for me, I'm always battling and telling my people, PC is you got to be 1% better every day. Just try to be what you did yesterday. Just try to be that even 0.5% better. Do what you did yesterday and just try to capitalize, be a little bit better what we struggled with, and let's see how we can make it better. So let's just focus on the positive and give it 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and just move on. Anything bad or negative, just move on from it. Can't dwell on it.
Sarah, is being 1% better has absolutely nothing to do with the weather today, with the interest rates today, with the agent on the other side of the transaction. Has everything to do with your efforts, your activities, what you can control. Bethany, you have so courteously raised your hand. What do you have to add?
Yeah, so I just want to say hi to everybody, but also, one of my taglines from one of my clients this week was "Don't just be, but be amazing." And I love that. So let's just not go out and do, but do it the best that you can. I've tried to instill that in myself and my children and everything that you do. But there's going to be ups and downs and the valleys, and we've talked about that before too, Mark. But just stay positive and be careful about who you surround yourself by and what you listen to too.
That's a great point. Yeah, Ben, what were you going to add to the conversation?
I was just gonna say, like, I'm from a different perspective because I'm pretty much brand new in the industry here. So kind of really grateful that things are slowing down or a little bit slow, because I mean, it's a more difficult market. So for me, I get to really learn the proper way to do things. So when things start coming up, I mean, I'm gonna be able to really take my stride and start running with it. So
yeah, that's a great mentality, because a lot of people over the course of the last 3 years got in while the getting was the meat was falling off the bone a little bit more than it is right now, which is not bad for your bank account, but isn't great for your mindset or your skill set. And the truth is that this is a market that requires us to be good, not just fast. And so for you to kind of mature into an environment that's a little trickier will be better for your mentality long term. So one note, I was curious, and again, a number of communities are represented on this call, but Stark Trumbull Area Realtors are the board that I'm personally a part of. I was curious to see what our membership numbers had done over the course of this year so far. Starting the year, we were at 1,415 agents, I want to say the number was. And today we're at 1,441. So we've actually grown, even though NAR is down over 300,000 agents year to date. So the entire industry we're seeing currently be decimated. And Ohio, or this little pocket of Ohio, has yet to feel it, which I say that as we lean into this conversation, because you might say, hey, I'm still in. I made it. I have bucked the trend. And I say, like, good on you, keep working. And nothing ever happens first in Ohio, which is a blessing because we can look to the coasts and see things that are happening faster than us. And so if you feel like, hey, I'm making it, or hey, my business is down, but I'm okay, like, it's okay to take encouragement from that. But my hope is that this conversation is kind of a bolstering, hey, we're shifting, the shift is still on, we're deep in it, but it's far from over, and we want to be bolstered for that. All right, so I'm going to interview 3 different people who are defying the odds, so whose businesses are meaningfully outperforming their local market, who I am impressed by an aspect of the way that they think, or the way that they're running their business, or how they approach their world, and the way that they serve their clients. So we're going to hear from Scott Killey, who's here in our Canton office. We're going to hear from Tracy Jones of the Tracy Jones team, who's based out of Ashland County, but serves here, there, and everywhere. And we're going to hear from Eli Mongold, who does a little bit of everything, but is more recently truly kind of an investor specialist, the realtor who gets results, who's based in Stark County as well. Scott, let's kick off with you. Give us a flyover. So you've been licensed for 4-ish years, and you've grown. I'm going to give you a brief summary, and then I'm going to ask you a specific question. So you've grown. You got new, came out of a ministry background, licensed in 19. Productive to capper to ALC to starting a team within the last, that you've followed that progression. Talk with me about your mindset going into this year. Mindset, expectations. How did you think about kind of goal setting and what you could expect for your business going into this year?
Sure. So one of the things I did is I looked at what the goals were the previous years and even my first year, and I'm one who usually tries to expect more of myself and expect more of what I'm doing to have success and things. But the previous year, I had pretty much kept my expectations where they were the year before. I don't know exactly why that was, but then coming into this new year, I was thinking, I hear everybody talking about the market shifting and the changes, and that there's going to be realtors leaving, that this is potentially a disaster for some. And some people were saying they're going to lower their expectations and set goals that were less than what they had had in previous years. And, you know, you can get caught up in that and start thinking that way. And I didn't want that. I didn't want to have a defeatist sort of mentality. I didn't want to have my expectations less. So I fought that and said, nope, we've never sold, quite got to 50 units in a year. And I'm like, we're going for 60. That's our goal. We never got to the 10 million in volume sold in a year. We're going for 10 million, and we're going to go with 30 listings this year. And so at our, you know, just having that mentality that what I can do to achieve that, I'm going to do everything I can and to try and make those numbers. And at the midway point, we had 30 transactions completed. We had 19 listings, and we had 5.1 million sold. So we're right on target for what we need. And that was before the other goal was to add 2 agents. That was before adding a lot of people to our team, but we have added 2 agents. So yeah, I think fighting that mindset and saying we're going to do despite what others are saying.
So 2 things that I want to kind of explore with you that you touched on there. So one is, like, a lot of people knew that this year was going to be harder and have had more of a hunker mentality. Hey, we're going to kind of trim expenses. We're going to cut that spend. We're going to do this. Meanwhile, you're adding people, you're doubling your or tripling your office space. Like you've got a more aggressive mentality. What did you base that in beyond mere optimism?
Well, I actually was going to share this under some other things, but one of them is that I can only control what I control. I have a strong faith. I believe I keep that and try to be prayerful and have a sense of humility, but also still to strive for excellence and for good. And so I had a professional football coach once spoke about a player who was not the biggest, not the strongest, not the fastest, just did not have all the tools, but he could control one thing. He could outwork anybody else. And he could be the best that he could be. And so that was something for me, is that, okay, the market is what it is, but our numbers don't have to go down. I just have to work harder. You know, we know if you put in this much, you'll get this much back. And so if putting in what I have so far has gotten me what I've gotten so far, well, then I just need to work harder and do the things that are required to meet those goals. And so somebody can have more resources, but I can still outwork them. So
there's working harder and there's working smarter. And it sounds like you've been conscious to do a little bit of both of those. I know that you, as many do, your lead sources come from a couple of different places, but one of those happens to be a paid lead source where you're getting calls or clicks from people that you don't know. What does it look like for you, as well as people that you're training within your organization, to convert at a higher level?
So, well, the first thing is connecting. And we all know that when you get a lead, maybe it's through an internet ad, maybe it's through a previous client that gives you a number, you may not connect with them. So I say the first thing we have to do is connect with the person. Number 2 is being ready, able, and equipped. And number 3 is never giving up or burning the bridge. So when I don't hear from somebody or I don't connect with them, I don't give up. My first thing I do is I call the person. I will text the person, then I email them, then I repeat. And then
how dense of a cadence? Like how
in that first week, it'll happen every day for the first 4 days. Unless I get a sense from, like, sometimes I get a sense that, hey, right now, they call me in a couple of days, or maybe they'll say something that makes me think, well, I need to give them a little space. So you always have to be able to assess. Body language is big, but so is tone. So sometimes text doesn't help that, but inflection and voice, whatever those things are, but to be able to change, but not being afraid to continue to go after the person, continue to try to connect with them. And then, so I say, repeat, wait. And maybe it's a week, maybe it's 2 weeks. Reach out, say, hey, a couple of weeks ago, you reached out about this. I'm wondering, are you still looking for help? And being very mindful of their time and not trying to add pressure and even saying those things, but trying to connect. And then once I've had a verbal connection with them or even a text connection, then I'm trying to find a way to relate to that person, to connect with them in such a way that it starts building the relationship. So maybe it's something that they say, I'm like, oh yeah, my son or daughter, oh, I have a friend in that industry. Oh, tell me about that. People want to tell you about themselves. They want to tell you about their family. So trying to build that helps build the trust. And then after that, trying to be able to provide value. And that gets into being ready, able, and equipped. And so being mindful of the market, being well prepared, and being the best agent I can that it helps them. But the biggest thing, sometimes they don't care about that. They want to know, can you show them a house? Can you come and look at their house and give them a true assessment of the value of their home? So making sure I'm ready to do all those things and not say, hey, how about 2 days from now? Say, when are you available? The sooner is probably better because of the way the market is, and I'm ready to meet your needs right now. And so being able to do those things shows value. And then that last part, not surrendering a lead. I don't surrender a lead. I may give them freedom to go wherever they need to go for a time, but I'm always going to try to be a part of their connection somehow, so that maybe it's 2 years from now, maybe that person says, I remember you and I want you, and I bought with somebody else, or I sold with somebody else, but I'd like to, I like to keep building that relationship and prove myself valuable and available when the time is right.
No, that's great. And I think you have some I'd call it natural gifting for being able to kind of slow down, be curious, ask them personal questions, and build natural rapport. But that's, if you hear that and be like, oh, that's great that Scott's naturally that way, that's not me. Like, it all comes from being curious and asking questions. And like you said, everyone, we all share our favorite conversational topic. It's the same for all of us, ourselves. We're all closet narcissists in one way or another. And a good agent, as Scott and his team is to be really intentional with that. Scott, another thing that I want to hone in on with you is when we talked about mindset and goals, you were clearly very dialed into your numbers, both what your goals were, but also where you were. A lot of people will set some random goal at the beginning of the year. Hey, I'd love to make 100 grand. I'd love to sell 30 houses. I'd love to do X, Y, or Z. But most of us fail at having a relationship with those goals, those benchmarks. Talk with me about kind of what you pay attention to, the importance of numbers, kind of that side of things for your business.
Yeah. A lot of people, just because they see me, they know I'm very relational and things, but I am very much a numbers person. I want to know where I'm at. I want to know where I'm at in the market. I want to know where the market is and what's trending in different ways. And so Mark knows this. I print out reports every month. I look at past reports to see where those numbers are and where shifting is. But that helps me to know how to help my clients when it's looking at the whole market and what's changing, and also helps me to prove value to them, because when I go to meet with somebody who wants to list their home, being able to take the real numbers of what's happening and where the market has, because a lot of people are fearful that are looking at real estate. Are we going to have a crash again and things? And to show that those numbers aren't the same is important. But then knowing my own numbers and being able to say, okay, this is where I am with this. Now, if I want to achieve here, this is what I have to do. And the other thing I do, Mark, is not just knowing my numbers. I go to other successful agents, some who've been in I'll just say one who's been around since the 70s. And I try to glean from them. I try to learn from them. I remember once a top producer saying, I won't even consider an offer if it doesn't have this. Well, that's a nugget. Okay, then every one of my offers is going to have this. So looking at our numbers, being able to see the trends and being able to then set goals based on those is an aspect of it. But it's really helping me to know how to better help my client. And that's also comes from talking to those who've gone through the shifts. So many of you know Marcy Clee. She's very able to give insight. She's gone through some of the hardest markets. And so when you want to be nervous, go talk to somebody like that and they'll help you get straight.
Yeah, gives you perspective that enables you to kind of take a deep breath and say, if I can control what I can control, then I'm probably going to be okay. I'm gonna shift over to Eli, and we're gonna kind of circle back with some open Q&A. Scott, thank you. And I think one thing that I want to highlight, which is also true of the other two that I'm going to talk with, is this seems simple, but hard work. Scott's one of the hardest workers I know, as are Eli and Tracy. The cars that are in the parking lot when you leave are the ones that whose businesses you want to take note of. And Scott, both as a leader and as a worker realtor, there's nothing that you're not willing to do from a hustle standpoint in order to get it done. And I think there's a lot of people in this industry who are frankly just looking for the smooth and easy path. And those are the ones that are more likely to be part of the statistics than thriving and outperforming this market. So kudos to you for walking the walk. All right, Eli, I'm going to spotlight you. Give me a second. We all know that I'm a tech genius here. All right, Eli, give us the flyover. How long have you been licensed? How'd you start, and bring us up to speed kind of in the major themes of your business?
So I personally got licensed in 2020. I'm one of the dirty COVID agents that joined on. A majority of my business started just doing residential and new construction, as that was a family background of mine. My grandmother was a realtor for very long, about the same amount of time Marcy was, and she was married to a home builder my entire life, and so that's kind of where I was able to get my start. But as my career progressed, and even before I got into real estate investing was always a main theme that I wanted to focus on. So I kind of started to, especially over the last 12 months, have buckled down my niche solely with real estate investors and targeted all my prospecting to them specifically, and trying to kind of change the mold that they're disloyal and they shop around to a bunch of other agents. I want to make myself indispensable to the purchases that they make.
So, and that's one of the main reasons I wanted to have Eli on this conversation. I think one of the things that I've observed in seeing how agents position themselves, how they talk about their business, how they conceive of themselves. Frankly, a lot of us try to be jack of all trades. Hey, if you know anyone who's looking to buy, sell, invest, or do luxury, or buy mobile home, I think we try to say, I can do anything you want. And in doing that, nobody gets particularly excited about doing any of that with us, because we're master of none. And I think Eli, you started in a more traditional sense, and like you said, you've got family background in this business. And I think I saw maybe a year and a half or so ago, you've always been analytical. You've always been able to speak the language of investor, at least in the time that I've known you. But something clicked, and I remember you had one listing in Firestone Park that was just kind of this pain in the butt that was just kind of dangling around there. And then a couple months later, I'm like, holy moly, Eli's operating at a different level. A lot of us have investors, but you have leaned into this space. And this isn't an investor workshop or how to win with investors workshop, but I more want to kind of dive into the themes of what did you do to make yourself indispensable? How did you prove your value to an investor, to a client base that's often not all that loyal? How did you show up for them that's helped your business to grow?
Well, a lot of what I did is I became very, very familiar with all the different types of real estate investing that there is to be done out there, and then found a way to effectively market to all the different people all around the world. I have clients in Israel, California, Texas, and tried to hone them in here. So it's understanding the market that I sell out of, which is Akron, Canton, Cleveland, and all the ways to maximize the strategies with market averages that we see here. And then I kind of learned to speak the language of like your mom and pop investor. They're just kind of looking for your standard 8 cap and hey, I just want to make my $250 a month. That's fine. All the way up to a couple of REITs that I represent, and just it's kind of learning to get comfortable with all those different facets, because they all price things a lot differently. I know Mark, you and I have discussed a lot of different ways that they price things. A lot of them look at things a lot different, and they have different levels of expectation, and just trying to understand their motivation versus what the market allows them to do, and then trying to find a way in the middle.
So it's one thing to say like, oh, I just went and decided to like learn more about that.
Cool.
Can you take us deeper into that? Google how to be better at helping real estate investors. What was your path? Where did you start? Was it with agents? Was it with blogs? Was it with podcasts? Was it at meetups? Like, how did you become more of an expert than you already were?
So I mean, of course, like you said, research can only get you so far. And as I started to only prospect for investor business, and that was really all that I started to do, I started to track all of the averages that I was seeing in this market. And so when I go and I speak with a new investor that I've been able to garner from some form of lead generation, whether it's Facebook, which is mostly what it is, I am able to then take like, hey, basically show them case studies. Like, hey, the last 5 deals that I've done, these are the kinds of returns I'm looking for the type of investing you're looking to do. Oh, you're a fix and flipper. Here's this. Oh, you're Burr. Here's this. And so I've been able to kind of track that a lot more, following the US Census and following what we see market trends in other markets do and how they pertain to here, like Amazon Fulfillment Center building. That's definitely been a big thing. And just being able to effectively communicate that to them that Akron is, or Canton is, or Cleveland is one of the better markets to invest in for X, Y, or Z, because we've seen it happening, 1, 2, or 3.
So I would say just to draw out of that, you're just curious. I think, some people would say, oh, Cleveland's a good investor market. Great. I'm gonna tell people that. But your mentality is, oh, I want to track that. I want to get in. I want to look at the numbers. You kind of joke about how how analytical you are, and how it's like, oh, when I get curious about something, you go down the rabbit hole, which that's not everybody's personality. But I think part of what's and with, at least with one of these REITs, I think part of what's enabled you to really cement yourself with them and therefore grow your business in seismic ways is the fact that they, what's the best way to put this? They don't just think that you can speak their language. You're bringing a lens. Oh, what about this? Or have you run it through this model? And I think a lot of agents in the investor space, they're like, okay, yes, I know what cap rate means. Yes, I understand NOI. And it's kind of like just enough to prove yourself that you belong in a conversation, as opposed to being an expert in a conversation. And I think in a world where we want to go far and wide and service everybody, you say, I'm just going to know everything about one niche, and I'm going to be able to kind of frankly talk circles around people as it relates to this niche, and thereby my client base, which isn't everybody. People aren't listing their $900,000 homes with me, but I'm going to help them buy 10 properties a month or whatever it is, to help them grow their portfolios. And I think I wanted you all to hear from Eli, to feel free to say, who am I? What do I love, or what am I drawn towards? And to feel free to pursue that. The summer masterminds a week or 2 ago, Kobe Socher was on a panel that I had the chance to moderate, and he said, "I don't invest," and he's a big time real estate investor. He said, "I just realized that I'm an expert in mediocre homes on the east side of Cleveland, so I decided to be the guy who knows everything about that." And I think we should find encouragement from that. Eli, anything else as you think about? Particularly kind of the out-of-state groups that you serve, ways that you show your value, ways that you show up for them, that have helped your business to grow. And your business has grown massively.
Well, thank you. Honestly, what I try to do for all the different investor clients that I have, is I try to find the hole that they need to have filled, and then I fill that for them. So whether it is helping them find a decent contractor base in the area, if they're out of state, or hey, I'm really good at the remodeling aspect and finding good deals, but I don't know how to manage my numbers effectively to truly understand my return. I'm capable of doing that for them. Whether it's just deal hunting, hey, I know my numbers and I have a good contractor base, but I don't have the level of access to off-market and on-market deals that you have. Can you just funnel me with amount of deals and then answer questions that I may have, and then just write the offer and negotiate it for me? And those are the kinds of holes that I try to fill for them, because they all need different things. Again, like the REIT, I don't need to explain to them how they need to run their numbers. I mean, they've got guys with college degrees fourfold, that have a much deeper level of understanding than I do about how the money needs to work for them, things of that nature. But they need somebody who's a local expert in the market. They need somebody who has contractors in the area that can help them get things up to snuff and ready to rent, property managers, things of that nature. And so I spend time building my network to be able to do that.
We don't need to go deep on this, but I think one other point that I want to highlight with you is part of your value is kind of proprietary. And you just mentioned yesterday, like, hey, I've got models and spreadsheets and calculators that you've kind of built, you've kind of played with, you've grown in your understanding, and you have clients that say, hey, you mind just sharing that with me so that I can run the numbers? And you kind of say like, no, this is my tool, man. Like, this is part of the value that I bring. And I don't want to be selfish. And at the same time, I think as agents, we want to always bring value, but we don't want to be taken advantage of. And that can be a fine line. But how do I show my value, bring value, come from a posture of service, while at the same time saying like, we're going to do this deal together, just so, just so that's clear. And I respect that. I think there's some shrewdness there.
I appreciate that. Again, they are naturally disloyal because they're always looking for the agent, at least in my experience. Most of the time they're looking for the agent that's the most available. They want to look at 20 deals a month, even though they're only going to buy one, and they want that one guy that's going to just rush out there and do it for them. I'm capable of doing all those things with the team that I've built underneath me. But the added value I'm able to provide, like I said, is wherever it is, I'm able to fill that hole. And with the number running, which is pretty much the biggest hole that I find, especially with local investors, is not understanding that. Yeah, if I gave you all of my models, how I underwrite all these properties that I'm able to sell at these cap rates, even in this market and everything like that, then you're not going to call me anymore, because there's no more value for me. But right. I can run my numbers, understand the numbers that I've given you, and negotiate them from there.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think the last thing that I want to highlight, and Tracy, we'll flip to you in just a second here, is there's this term intrapreneur. We all know what the term entrepreneur means, but an intrapreneur, I don't know who coined that. Probably Einstein, right? Is someone who's entrepreneurial. They're growing and they're ambitious and they got ideas, but they're able to do so within someone else's world or within an environment that's already created. And in one sense, like, let's be real, we're all intrapreneurs. We're all within a brokerage. For those of us that are with KW, we're in Jose's world maybe, or we're in Gary Keller's world. Like there's concentric circles that we all operate within. Eli, I respect the choice that you made as you became clearer on your value, your niche, what you wanted to do. Rather than trying to reinvent the wheel, you kind of went an intra route to partner with a team where there might be more knowledge, resources, and tools to help you do that. You want to just talk for 30 seconds about the why and how of that for you?
Are you talking about hitching my time with the Duttons? Is that what you're asking?
Yep.
Yeah. Joining up with the Duttons was definitely a hard thing for me. I was a solo agent and I was relatively successful as a solo, even in the down market. But the Dutton groups, I think our entire team specializes in some form of a niche. And that's why I like joining up with them, is we all get a lot of these leads that come in that are really niche related. And so being able to pass those along and help other agents inside of the office has definitely been great. And our support system, because we all work in specialty environments, we're all able to help each other a lot better. It's much easier to call Jared, who again, every deal he does is different, being mostly industrial or commercial real estate. So he's definitely able to help me handle a lot more curveballs. If he gets investors, he brings them to me. I can help him navigate those kinds of things. It has been very helpful. But I see this market as a storm and teams as an umbrella. And when I was picking a team, when I was thinking about that, the Duttons and their ability to do commercial work, things of that nature, all the different profit centers we have access to with the auctions and commercial real estate referrals. This is what made the most sense to me.
And I think just to piggyback on that, you can tell your clients, hey, I love working with investors, I'm here to serve you. But if you only, and that's valid, but for you, it's like, hey, I don't have access to industrial deals, commercial deals, the platforms and tools that actually, if they're interested in that, they would need. And so part of it was a tools move. It's like, yeah, I've got the MLS and I can do prospecting and all of those things. But if I've got clients that want to play in a different sandbox, I want to have the keys to that sandbox, as opposed to just telling them that they need to go work with someone else. So I think,
Of course,
kudos to you for the strategy there.
Thank you.
Tracy, I know you're on the road, but I want to flip over to you. Thank you, Eli. We'll come back to both Scott and Eli with questions in a minute. I'm going to add Tracy. All right. How's it going? Where are you headed to?
We are on our way to Nemacolin. It's in Pennsylvania. My birthday is tomorrow, so we take this weekend to spa out. So yeah, we need it.
Nice. My family, we did a trip to Nemacolin when it was shut down. And come to find out, like, the property itself was shut down, and come to find out they were filming The Bachelor there. I was like, oh, that's interesting. But Tracy, many of us have heard from you, had exposure to you, but that's not true of everybody. Can you give us the flyover of who you are, how long you've been in the business, and kind of a scope and scale of your business at this point?
Okay. Hopefully I'm not breaking up and you guys can hear me. Licensed in 2017. My broker's license in 2022. I started my team 2019. My first year in the business, I did 64 transactions by myself. My second year in the business, I met Jose, and I came to KW, started a team, and we average, over 30 transactions per agent. You guys still hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Last year we did 229 transactions with 5 licensed agents. And this year, we're on point. We're probably going to do more than that. So we were running a very strict MREA team where we had buyer's agents, we had listing agents. As the market turned, I decided that wasn't the best course of action for us, because we need more listings. We need to go after the listings. There's an inventory shortage. So rather than just like pick up more buyers, I'm like, we really need to focus on listings, because the more listings we have, the more market share we have, and listings, leads, and leverage, right? I mean, that's what they teach us. So January, we went through some training with with the rest of my agents, and three of us. So there's 4 of us now that take listings, and both take listings and work with buyers. We added 1 showing assistant. So now we have 7 licensed agents total. 1 is a showing assistant. That's all she does. And then 2 of them are buyer's agents, and they only work with buyers. And then there's 4 of us that work both listings and work with buyers. And adding that showing assistant has helped the people that are doing listings. It's helped them open their schedule up a little bit more, so we can do more.
Yeah. So you to use an overused word, you pivoted. You said, hey, we've run a business that's been very kind of buyer centric in the way that we train and coach and develop our agents. And in a market where things are leaner, we want more people kind of rowing more fully. And frankly, not to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like some of it was a kind of a opportunity play for your people. You got some agents that are great agents that you've had for a while, and not everybody loves running buyers for forever. And so some of that strategic move was probably also kind of a relational retention move to be able to help them to grow as well. That's at least what it appeared to be from my side of things.
For sure. And we have standards in writing because I'm not going to negotiate with my agents because we negotiate for a living. So you shouldn't be negotiating with your team lead. There should be clearly written, plain standards. In order to qualify to be a listing agent on my team, you have to sell a minimum of 36 units in 1 calendar year. So the only agents on my team that are taking listings have in fact successfully sold a minimum of 36 units, 36 houses, whatever, it doesn't matter. But in order for them to take listings, that's what's required. And in this market, the reason that I'm such a stickler on that, especially in this market, listing agents are going to deal with buyers, agents that haven't been trained, don't know how to fill out paperwork, may or may not know how to get someone across the finish line, and a good listing agent will coach that buyer's agent. Because that's part of that bulletproofing the transaction, or that you can't say that you're the listing agent, so you have no control and the deal just blew up because I can't help these buyers. No. I don't accept that. You have to be fully involved in this transaction, and some majority of the time you have to be willing, able, and ready to coach the buyer's agent as to how to help them get the deal closed.
Yes, no, that's a great point. You alluded to training that you did together kind of early in the year. Part of winning in a downshifted market is making more of your opportunities, kind of getting leads from a variety of sources, but also nurturing and converting at a higher level. Do you want to touch on elements of that training or the ways that you've helped your team to be better to convert at a higher level?
And I'm not, I guys, but we are big on Glover U. Is everybody moving or am I frozen?
You're good. We just caught up with you.
Guys? Okay. So I said, I'm not trying to make this a Glover U commercial, but we do the Glover training. He's got that sales rocket now. The majority, all the listing agents on my team have been through sales rocket training. We do scripting, we do masterminding. They have a certain number of CMAs that they're required to do. I have a pretty intense training schedule that I put them through in order for them to list. So, my team is known for when we make offers or when we list houses, like everybody in the area, it's going to be a great experience. I'm just watching you guys to see if I see movement because we're
You're doing good. You're good. We're good right now.
But training, learning, and the constant, it's very, very important to me to make sure that my agents and myself, that we are the most highly educated agents in the area, and the clients can tell too.
Just to plug, because she was a little bit spotty at that point. She highlighted Jeff Glover's Sales Rocket program, not a commercial, but a commercial. Starting on September 14th, our market centers are participating in that Sales Rocket program in Fairlawn. So if you're curious at all, you'll get more emails about it, but that's the program that Tracy's team went through and committed to. Tracy, the other thing that I wanted to talk about, and I don't think you mind me drilling into this, is Q1 was so-so. Frankly, Q1 was so-so for a lot of people. And you guys might have been behind. I don't know if there were any kind of hard come to Jesus sort of moments, but then Q2, you've blown the doors off. Was there a moment? Was there a we got to get real, get right? Or did the market just pick up? What changed from Q1 to Q2 as it relates to your team's mentality, activities, et cetera?
Well, part of it, I believe that we added, we definitely added more masterminds. We started talking our Tuesday 9 a.m. mastermind. Every Tuesday we get together. What are you guys struggling with? What's going on? Are you winning? Are you losing? What's the market looking like for you? And just really digging into what's going on right now? You know, we had Section 8 people that we're working with. So we're running all the Section 8 numbers. We're arming ourselves with information. And every Monday they meet with me for a half hour for coaching, and it's coaching and accountability. And we got very, very intentional with our calendars. We got very intentional with our time blocks. How many calls are we making? How many appointments are we setting? Who are we talking to? And literally making them double down on what was working. So what exactly is working for you? And we look at, my spreadsheets have spreadsheets. Like I freaking
I can
love
testify.
spreadsheets. Yeah, Mark has seen them. So like when we put something in contract, we put the source of that. So not is it, and we've got even granular with it this year. So it's sphere. Okay. We all have, what's sphere mean? Sphere of influence. Where did it come from? Was it, you know, your cousin's brother's uncle's niece? Was it, you know, the guy that cut your hair? Was it the people from the gym that, you know, like Ryan coaches CrossFit and he teaches Olympic lifting classes. So he's just putting spheres. So we noticed this year, like 6 of the sales that he's had this year have been from that gym. So what do we need to do about that? How can we double down on that? Do we need to do like gift boxes? So for the next holiday, do I send Ryan in with a bunch of sweat towels or water bottles that have our logo on it, that a thank you to the gym because there's so many people? Do we love on his sphere from the gym? We've got some Facebook, huh? More gym time, he says.
Always the answer, Ryan.
Of course, yeah, always the answer. Just stay at the gym. You know, and for me, I got, you know, my accountant, I just listed my accountant's house. My boss that I used to have at the factory I used to work at, I'm listing his house next week. I have these guys that own a construction company that I'm really close with. They give me 4 or 5 deals a year where, you know, like last year I just sold off all their rentals. This year they're like, well, we want to be landlords again. So let's buy these kind of houses because they sell real quick. And then when we get sick of it, we'll sell them again. So, you know, I just sold them all off last year. Now we're collecting again. And I've found that we went from about, you know, 15 to 20% repeat referral business to this year, we're like more like 30, where it's repeat referral business from our clients. And it's not because we do a good job of following up and loving on them and inviting them to lots of things. It's because we're very thorough and we're not getting anywhere else. We go, we do 1 year anniversary thing. We have 2 client events a year. We try to invite them to, but it's like, I'm notorious for being horribly antisocial, and I don't want to love on my sphere because I don't want to hang out with them. Like, I don't want them to be around me. Like, I like my alone time, you know? So it's like, how can I come from somewhere, you know, how can I provide value without having to be like near these people, you know, where I had to like interact with them? Like, how can I provide value in other ways? I know I'm horrible, but I'm just being honest.
Well, I think you're like a lot of people, and frankly, maybe that's why you and Jose get on so well. Is I think sometimes we have this notion that being good at our business means we're all touchy-feely and we want to go to everybody's baby shower. And some people are like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But those who build really big businesses don't build really big businesses because they're touchy-feely. They do it because they have systems and they provide a higher level of value than their peers. And that's what you guys have done.
And we don't literally do the promise, but there's that. Some of you have heard of it, some of you have not, but it's the promise. Like, I promise you, I'm going to do such a good job that you're going to refer all your friends and family to me. And we have this hack we do when we close them, we give them a gift, and we have a card and it has QR codes on it for Google, Zillow, and Facebook. And we're like, if you give us a 5-star review on these 3 sites, we will reward you with a $50 gift card to go out to wherever you choose. And I tell them at the closing table, I'm like, I will not pay you for a 4-star review.
Yeah.
I need a 5-star review and I will pay you for that. You will get a $50 gift card to take your significant other or whatever out to dinner, whatever you feel like it. And we're over 90 Google reviews right now, 5-star 90 Google reviews. And if you guys have ever been on Google or anywhere else, and the first thing you do, even on Amazon, if I'm going to buy something, I look at the reviews. How many stars do they have?
Yep, no question.
And when people are Googling local agents or they're looking up something on Google, we're popping up on those searches, not because I'm spending copious amounts of money, but because I have all these reviews. My team, 7 strong, we have more Google reviews right now than the local brokerages in Ashland.
Yeah.
So we're showing up higher on those searches. We're getting business from that. I'm getting a ton of agent to agent referrals right now. And they're like, oh man, we read your Google reviews, your Facebook reviews. It's like, and I'm just bribing people to give us fantastic reviews and why not, seriously. And we're doing,
and you couldn't ask for a 5-star
listings,
review and reliably get them if you weren't also providing that level of service. We joke about bribery, but like your team provides a 5-star experience. And so it makes sense. Go ahead.
You know that, right? What so supposed to be every Friday, but it's my kid, so she's not real consistent with it. We call all of our previous clients and we ask our previous client, what would you feel about an 11? She's like, I'm so sorry to hear that. What could be done?
We're losing you. The reception's rougher now. So I'm gonna move to Q&A in the interest of time. I think she was saying that basically they do a Friday call to kind of check in. How was it? Anything that we can do better to make sure that their customer experience is always getting better. Tracy, Scott, Eli, it's for me as someone who's involved in each of your businesses. So I'm going to remove pins and we're going to go to the room. Nobody needs to see the pin of me. So a couple of themes is you guys bust your butts to work hard for your clients and to generate clients. That's a theme. One is you're committed to your craft. You all highlighted kind of learning, research, sharpening your sword. And then I think there's kind of a theme of constant improvement. What can I do to be better? What process can I put in place? How can I convert at a higher level, serve at a higher level to be able to grow my business? What questions does the room have? I'll open it up. Put your video on, unmute yourself. What questions do you have for any of these folks as we seek to be better than average in this market?
I more so had a statement to make, kind of a question, but in regards to Eli's session, it was really great to listen to you and kind of how you talked through some stuff. I love the mantra that kept playing in my mind was being a local economist of choice. When you were talking, I know that's something that we hear constant. I'm new. I'm 3 weeks in here on the leadership team, but hearing your story and how you kind of referencing the fact that there's people with higher degrees or 4-year degrees that might be able to understand money management a little more in depth at certain levels. It was refreshing to hear your take on it, and I just wanted to share that. I thought it was cool to see you piece some of that together on your end and kind of become that local economist of choice, for your clients. So just wanted to mention that. Not more of a statement. We can bounce off that, but I thought that was really good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
What else? Good thought, Jordan. Caitlin, I'm sure you're bubbling with curiosity over there. As someone who's also bucking trends.
I was curious. I feel like Tracy started to say something about Facebook, but might have cut out with like when you said doubling down on what's working. And I wanted to know if you had a specific strategy with social media or Facebook.
We do. And this is pure KW, and I can share it with you if you'd like, but we do the DTD2. And sometimes it's just Facebook Messenger, we do that. I have a goal and we do that through Facebook Messenger. And that seems to be working really well for my people. We also, every single day I get on Facebook, and it's usually 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and say happy birthday to every single person on my Facebook, that it's their birthday. And I am one of those crazy people that have like, I'm right under 5,000 because the more people you have on Facebook, you know, the more traction you get, et cetera. By saying, just simply saying happy birthday, you're posting on that person's page, you're going to start showing up, and it kind of games the algorithm a little bit, which is wonderful. And if I see people, like some of my friends are special, and they'll forget their password, and I will go to say happy birthday and I'll see this person has 5 accounts, probably because they forgot the password to the first 4. And since I'm so close to 5,000, it reminds me that, okay, I need to get rid of them because, and I'm constantly, something else I do with Facebook, I'll get off the soapbox, is when people are posting disgusting negative things, I will go to their profile and I will look, and if this is a pattern, then I delete them, because I have culture on my Facebook too. And if I keep opening up this Facebook to do these things, this hour or half hour, whatever I take a day, if it's all negativity and gloom and doom, they're gone. Like, you know, Facebook and social media can be anything we want it to be. We can craft it to be positive or we can craft it to be negative. We're going to find what we're looking for, and I choose positivity. So if you get removed from my Facebook, heads up, guys, you know why.
I'll be waiting for my happy birthday post coming up September.
One.
No, that's great. That's a system. I think sometimes we think, oh, systems, it feels like this unapproachable thing, but everything she just described, a system is just something that you can do repeatedly. You can write down, you could train someone else to do it. And I think that's part of your strength, Tracy. What else?
Just touching on what Scott was saying about how a lot of realtors have been lowering their expectations because of the market shift. But yet Scott's still out there. He didn't lower his expectations, and he set higher expectations and higher goals to, you know, achieve them, instead of just letting the market dictate and, you know, go on the roller coaster and ride the ride. You know, he hopped off the ride and he's doing his own thing and still killing it in his numbers.
That point as well was something, nice to meet you, Scott, something that you were talking to. I've been listening to some of the Gary Keller podcasts and kind of some of that from back a while ago. So there was a couple episodes recently from right when the pandemic started, and they were talking basically about what you were referencing in terms of fighting through, charging the storm. I know they talked to, but then also, which I found relevant, is kind of the idea of not cutting certain programs or things that are working. And, you know, even in a time where you need to cut things for your team, or people think to cut trainings or cut different, different things in that regard. I think not cutting that and staying and pushing through, and, you know, maybe cutting other items was something they were referencing. But, you know, in times of need or times of, distraction or recession, depression, like, it's important to have those pillars in place so you grind through it and then come out on the other end stronger. So I just thought what you were referencing was very much in line with some of that sentiment as well. So just wanted to share that, but congrats on all the success.
And Mark, can I add something to that, what they're saying there? Not only that, but sometimes when you see everybody go one direction, you should actually go the other direction, because it's where you can gain foothold on things that aren't going to be available in the future, because people will return and snatch them up. You hear Warren Buffett talk about sometimes when there's been market changes, people get out and they go a different direction. That's when he's buying things. Smart people, smart investing takes place when other people are panicking, and you just have to remain calm. And you don't want to be foolish, but you want to be smart, and maybe make different decisions than others are, because then you're gaining on others who will come back, and it won't be as, you have to take risks sometimes to gain greater value on that investment. So,
well, and there's a difference between Pollyanna hopefulness and calculated, hey, we're going to get after it. And I realize things are shifting, but like, we're going to roll up our sleeves. We're going to be intentional in some ways. Like, that's not just like, well, hey, I hope we double our business. Wouldn't that be cool? Like, that's not what you've done. You've been dogged and focused in that. Hey, y'all, it's 3:00, and respecting your time is something that I want to do. I want to thank Bethany, for always organizing all of this stuff, but she just dropped in the chat the link to the Sales Rocket class. So this whole thing wasn't just a plug for that. But if you're interested in that, info's there. One note with Sales Rocket is it's got a money back guarantee. Basically, if you don't sell homes, you're getting your money back. And if you don't sell homes, that means you didn't do what the program was designed to help you do. But that
You
is
have to attend. Side note, sorry, you just
Yeah,
have
you
to
gotta show
attend
up,
all of them.
do the work, all that
And
stuff.
yeah.
And if you do that, you're going to sell homes. But if you do all of that and don't sell homes, Jeff's cutting you a check for the balance. So keep that in mind. We'll be talking more about that. Thank you for your time. Thank you to Tracy, Scott, and Eli for letting us into your mind and your businesses a bit, and go and crush the rest of your Thursdays. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.